Hi, welcome to the Taproot Root Cause Analysis podcast, where with each episode we bring you insight and ideas for your continuous improvement program. And this week we have Mark Paradies and Amy Souders. Welcome.
Thanks, Benna.
We are going to talk about basic versus major investigations, and it comes up a lot with people we talk to on the phone because some people think Taproot is just for major investigations.
Yes.
Tell us how that's not true, Mark.
Well, first off, it started out, I always thought that Taproot, even before we had a simple way to do it, was a simple enough process that you could use it on small incidents and big incidents, and you just shortcut some of the steps in small incidents. But
First of all, allowing people to shortcut.
Well, okay.
That could go down a rabbit hole.
People just didn't get it. Well, that's true. And we found that to be true also. Yeah. So at first I got frustrated with people saying, isn't there an easier way to do this than the Taproot 7-step process? And so back in the early 90s, I invented this.
This was genius.
Spin a cause. And all you got to do is simply spin it. Oh, I got to get it to spin better than that. There we go. Good spin. And let's see, I got the problem was training, and it says conduct more training. See, it gives you both the root cause and the corrective action. Single spin for simple incidents. Probably spin it at least 3 times for major accidents. And
let me see it.
You want to see that?
Yes,
and
I do.
And
Okay.
then you can use it for audits too.
Really?
Yeah. You could just point it at the answer you want, just like a real audit. And you'll have the answer.
Act of God is my favorite.
Act of God. Pray for a solution. That's the answer.
It's very popular at trade shows, too, and we give these out.
It is.
I do get a little concerned sometimes that someone thinks that this is the Taproot
I'm sure
methodology.
people have used it.
I had a guy ask me.
I'm sure.
I had a guy ask me, how do you know this is the right answer?
Oh, dear.
Oh, my.
Well,
I was
you have to
very
be careful.
concerned about him.
So again, taking a shortcut, you do have to be careful. And you had a really good solution for this.
Yes. Tell them to use the process. I did that for maybe 10 years.
Yeah.
And then we came up with a better idea. And the better idea was to come up with a simple process, a 5-step process rather than a 7-step process that just took the bare minimum of things you needed to do. And that was what the question was to us. Well, what's the minimum you need to do? And so the minimum you needed to do was, number 1, you need to understand what happened. So you had to draw a snap chart. Secondly, you need to decide, hey, is this worth going on investigating? Because you may decide, there's nothing to learn here. And if there's nothing to learn here, don't waste your time doing the rest of the investigation. Just document what you've done and you're done. You got your snap chart, nothing to learn, everybody agrees, you're done. If you think there's something to learn there, then you go on to identify causal factors, take those causal factors through the root cause tree, and develop corrective actions. You don't go and do the generic part of the analysis, so that shortens it down one more step. You probably only do simpler corrective actions. In other words, the corrective action helper will give you all these ideas. You probably take the least dramatic of them to do, and you're done. And that's the way you do it for a simple investigation. And so those are the minimum steps I think you need to do. Understand what happened, identify causal factors, find the root causes, and implement some kind of corrective actions. And
so when would you decide that it's time to move on to those additional steps?
Well, okay, if you've had a fatality,
Of course, yes.
if you've had a major incident or accident or quality problem or equipment reliability, it's a big incident. So we were talking about this earlier. That what book is that in, Amy?
This is the implementation, book 2. I was looking at that this morning. We've got the Developing an Investigation Policy section in Book 2 in the appendix, and it's really informative. It gives a lot of guidance and it breaks it down even into reporting and investigations for safety, process safety, environmental quality, production, and schedule. It's quite detailed.
Well,
and it tells you here, if you get, for instance, let's do a safety one. If you have a work-related pain or unsafe condition or off-the-job injury, in this guidance it says you do a report only. You don't do an investigation.
okay.
The next level up, it says first aid, traffic accidents with no major injuries, events that caused lost work time but did not cause serious injuries. That's when you do the simple investigation and a report, but you don't do the full investigation, the full 7 steps.
What if you were just lucky that it ended up being a minor incident?
Okay, so one of the things you can judge is that you can say, well, here it says, fatalities, injuries that cause permanent disability, lost time injuries, near misses that could have caused serious injury or fatality with failure of an additional safeguard. So that's the one you really don't want to count on luck being your
Right.
additional safeguard. But in that case, you'd still do a major investigation.
Okay.
So the ones that you really are saying, the minor investigations, the simple investigations, you're going to save those for ones that probably don't have major risk involved. They might have lost time injury potential,
Right.
but they aren't a major what is it called, SIF, a serious injury or fatality.
Okay. And a lot of times people make a decision based on time. How much time they have.
Well, that's the real world, isn't it?
It is the real world. And that's why I was kind of thinking about that a second ago about, a lot of times people will do the shorter 5 steps versus 7 steps if they kind of came, by the skin of their teeth, a fatality didn't happen or something like that. I'm assuming in people's policies and stuff, that's where that would get.
Yeah, that's what this is.
Yes.
It would be in their policy.
Yeah, absolutely. So when you've shifted to a major incident, a major investigation, let's talk a little bit about what the different stages in that are. What are the different things you can learn?
Okay, you want to tackle that question?
Give me a little bit more, Benna. What are you referring to? Different
Like
stages?
change analysis and the different things that we don't go into in the basics.
Some of the more optional
Yes.
techniques.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Yes.
they're great at gathering more information, which I think is one of the many big benefits of Taproot is finding out more information. So there's multiple techniques you can use just depending on the situation and what kind of information you need to find out.
So let's see. In the minor ones, it's snap chart, your root cause tree, and your corrective action helper.
Correct. Yeah.
But in the 7-step process,
You've
see
got-
if I can do all this.
Okay.
You can
Here we
do
go.
it, Mark.
Okay. You've got safeguards. In addition to those,
Yes.
you've got safeguard analysis.
Yes.
You've got CHAP, change analysis, and equifactor.
Yep.
Did I get them all?
You got them all.
All right.
Yeah.
And we learn more in, like when we go in that 5-day course, we learn more things like interviewing, things that'll help you
Yeah,
build
there's
that
a lot more.
snapshot.
Okay, so let's talk about the difference in training then.
Yes.
Because you mentioned the 5-day course. First off, we wrote 2 different books. So you can see the size of this book is really skinny. The size of this book is
Really?
fatter.
Yes.
And this book, skinny book, is the one to do, I'll call it the simple investigations. It's titled, long title here, Using the Essential Taproot Techniques to Investigate Low to Medium Risk Incidents. Ta-da.
Ta-da.
And that's the simple book. And it's only like 100-some pages long.
So
you can read
easy
this in
read,
like
yes.
an hour.
We assign it as homework.
Is that right?
Oh, yeah.
Read the whole book. But see, then they'll
No,
get so
no.
excited they want to order all the rest of the books and read them all. So then there's this book, the big book. It's called Using Taproot Root Cause Analysis for Major Investigations. And note that it has a lot more things in it, and that's all those optional techniques and other things that we teach about collecting
It's a
information,
fantastic book.
interviewing, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite optional technique?
See, I guess my favorite's the root cause tree, but that's not an optional technique.
No.
And so the one I think the one that, well, I don't know. Change analysis and equifactor. If you do a lot of equipment stuff, you ought to learn about equifactor. But change analysis is also taught in the equifactor course. And I really like change analysis. And I like the simplest version of change analysis, where it's the what changed question. If you're not, this has been going along perfectly for a long time, and now we're having problems. What changed? Or that piece of equipment, which is supposedly identical to that piece of equipment, but that piece of equipment breaks and that one never does. What's the difference between those two?
I find that interesting.
I like that.
Yes.
Simple questions.
It is simple, and it's putting things side by side like that, looking at them. That's it. Stuff will really come out for you.
But that's
clear.
in the big book, not in the little book.
It's a little book. So when I talk to people about what taproot training they should take, I always lean on the 5-day. I feel like everybody should be trained in 5-day, but I know that is not realistic.
It all depends on where they want to put their emphasis, right? It reminds me of people who say, we really want to support our veterans, but then don't finance veterans' health care. Well, there's something wrong with that statement. If you say safety's our first priority, but you don't train people to investigate incidents and accidents, well, there's something wrong with that statement. Yes, the simple course, the 2-day course, it teaches what's in the little book.
Right.
And it's for people who are going to only do those simpler investigations. And we do that because we realize a lot of times you think, well, we can't train everybody.
Right.
And we need a vast body of people trained to do small stuff. That's all well and good. But a lot of times the people who take this course and then go take the 5-day course go, oh, wow, there was so much more to learn.
I've experienced some of those people being in that one, then going to the 5-day, and they're like light bulb moment. I mean, they're like, this is
because there is so much more to learn, and this is the minimum, bare minimum, and this is the other stuff, and I think you learn a lot more about human error in this course too, and that's one thing that people just don't maybe get, and you get a lot more repetition in this course, and you get a lot more time using the software in this course. So you really come out better able to go straight out and do investigations. Where if you go to the 2-day course, it's a good course, there's nothing wrong with the 2-day course, or the 3-day virtual course. But I really would like you to have somebody that you could ask questions to or coach you on your first investigation when you go out there, because you only had 2 days worth of practice.
It's a lot of information in 2 days.
There's a lot of information in 2 days, and you only learn, well, I'd like to say in a really good course, you probably only learn 30%, maybe 40% of what's taught you remember.
Right.
So that other, 60% that you don't remember, you may need some of that information. And somebody to coach you along the lines can remind you of certain things, can check your work. And so that's why implementation is so important, because you really have to do a good implement. I mean, you can't just send somebody a 2-day course and say, go for it. You really need a system behind that, and you need management support, and you need some facilitators out there to help people, and you need maybe a peer review committee to definitely review the more serious incidents to make sure that they've asked all the right questions before you go to management to review. But even on the simple incidents, to provide feedback to the investigators so they can become better over time and learn by getting some help from the guys who have a lot more experience and have been to the 5-day course.
And if people look on our website and see information about the 5-day course, it says the word advanced, it says the word team leader, but it can be beginner.
Oh, we teach everything taught in the 2-day course is taught in the 5-day course.
Yes.
So the first day of the 2-day course and the first day of the 5-day course are almost I don't want to say identical, but pretty close.
Yes.
They are.
And the only difference is the examples we use. So if you've been to the 2-day course and you go to the 5-day course, the first day of the 5-day course should be refresher training for you, and a whole different set of examples so that you get another practice using what you've learned.
Yeah, I've never had anybody complain about going to the 2-day and then getting that refresher part at the beginning of the 5-day. Because you leave that 2-day, your brain's pretty full. It's about to explode. So we're like, go back, practice immediately. Try to put some of this into play immediately.
And that's always a problem because you've been gone to training. You come back and your work's piled up for you.
There's a few emails waiting for you.
Yeah,
Just
a
a
few
couple.
hundred emails to do, and you don't really. A lot of times, maybe it's a week, 2 weeks, a month, hopefully not a year, until you first use the system to go investigate an accident. It reminds me of a funny story. I had a guy who called me, and he said, "You taught me how to do this at a facility," and I'm supposed to remember, but I don't remember his name. And he said, "Okay, what am I supposed to do first?" And I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "What's the first thing I'm supposed to do? I've never done one of these investigations. It's been 2.5 years since I took your course.
Oh, no.
I don't remember anything. What am I supposed to do?" And I said, "Do you have the book?" He goes, "Well, I think I've got it someplace." I said, "Well, I'd suggest you go read the book."
Read the book.
He said, "Well, I don't have time for that." This was back.
I was getting ready to say that was probably when
This was back when it was
book.
the old green book that was really
Yeah.
big before we even changed over to the black book. And I said, "Well, okay. Have you drawn a snap chart?" "Oh, snap chart. What was that?"
Oh, no.
And I said, "It's where you put the sequence of events down." He said, "Well, really, I don't need to do that. All I need to do is, can you
Get my
tell me?
Spinacause.
I've got that tree. I've got that tree thing that you gave us. Where on the tree is we need an elbow?" I said, "What?"
What?
He said, "Where is an elbow on the tree?" And I'm like, "I don't understand what you mean. An elbow? Do you know what an elbow is?" And I said, "Like on your arm, an elbow?" He said, "No. An elbow on a pipe.
Pipe.
An elbow on a pipe. Where is that in the tree?" And I'm going, "I don't think you understand what this is all about." And I said, "First you have to establish the sequence of events. Tell me what happened." So he describes this incident, and they had a shutdown of the plant by I don't remember what went wrong, but something went wrong. And when you shut this process down without doing it the right way, it builds up pressure inside. So before you can restart it, you have to go over and activate the pressure relief, which is a handle you pull. Except that the steam then comes out right at where you're pulling the handle.
Oh.
So you have to pull the handle and run. And I said, "What?" He said, "Yeah, everybody knows that." I said, "Everybody knows that? Why didn't the guy run?" "Well, that's what I want to know. But if we had an elbow, the steam wouldn't go right at him, and then he wouldn't get hurt. So I just want to know, where is there an elbow on the tree?"
Oh my word. That's a good one. I have not heard that.
It was,
Pull it.
and I'm like, you really need
Is
some.
that in the procedure?
You really need. Well, okay. If you want to know the whole story gets worse.
I was going to say, do you have races?
The
To
guy-
see who's the fastest?
the guy-
You go.
The guy had been trained 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And he'd worked there for a period of time, and for the last 3 years, he'd been off doing something else. But when this was his first day back on this unit after being gone for 3 years, and so he may have forgotten about the running part, and they had a procedure, but the procedure didn't cover how you pull this. Well, no, there was nothing about if you shut it down the wrong way. It was only if you shut it down the right way that it had a restart procedure. This whole pulling the handle thing was just something they'd made up.
They're way off.
And so I said, wait a second. You're telling me there's a procedure for this? He goes, well, yeah. I said, a written procedure? Well, no. I said, so let me ask you this. If you wrote down how this is supposed to go and you gave it to management, do you think they'd approve pull the handle and run. And he goes, well, no, they probably wouldn't. So it was hilarious.
Was a good one.
It was hilarious.
That was a good one. So did he ever get back into more taproot training after that?
I don't even know. He may have just put a report up. What he told me was, well, really, I don't like doing these, and this is the first one they forced me to do, and I don't care if I never do another one of these, I'll be happy.
It sounds like you've got someone on the wrong seat of the bus.
Yes.
Like that's maybe just not his role.
It is. He was not ready to do these, but they made him go and do them anyhow. And I just thought it was hilarious. I don't know. I mean, I really talked him through everything. I don't know if he learned anything.
Right.
I mean, there's a certain amount of you have to be willing to learn, and he didn't even want to do the minimum in this book. He just wanted to take the tree and circle elbow, and he'd be done with that investigation.
And find corrective action for elbow and
install elbow.
Install elbow.
Elbow missing, install elbow. Then you can yank the thing and the steam goes up in the air rather than burning the guy.
I mean, that is a funny story, but it's probably not uncommon that things like that are.
Well, hopefully it's uncommon after taproot training, but see, this guy never learned it to start with really in the 2-day course, and then he hadn't applied it in who knows how long, a couple of years.
Right.
And he didn't even remember anything about the process at all.
And who knows how much training he had in other things in between. And you get it confused. You get multiple things.
That's kind, Benna.
Yeah.
Grant that man that grace.
I try to be nice.
There you go.
Well, one of the things I do always tell people, like you were just saying, always have somebody trained in the 5-day. And have multiple people, because that person that you had trained may leave.
Even this guy who hadn't done 1 or 2.5 years, they should have had somebody to coach him through his first investigation.
They should have had somebody.
And he really needed some coaching.
Well, and we try to help people stay fresh, have taproot stay fresh in their mind. We provide so many different avenues for people to keep their taproot knowledge where it needs to be, whether it's through videos, through podcasts like this, through the summit, through we're getting ready to do that 3 Fuse Pathways.
Yes, our Pathways
training,
online learning platform.
Blog articles, getting our newsletter.
We even have that 1-day refresher now.
Yes, and you can do it. A public version of that has recently been put online. So we really do try to help people have that knowledge, stay fresh, because we know you don't have a lot of time to be always thinking about taproot like us.
Let me give you one more.
We always think about taproot.
Let me give you one more quick story. And this happened at a 5-day course. And this wasn't the same company, it was a different company. And they set these 4 engineers to the course. And this other guy happened to be an engineer too. And they sent these 4 engineers to the course, and I think it was day 2, they were out in the hall, and the one guy said something like, let's see, what was it? He said something like, oh man, this is really a bummer that we're here at this training. And I thought, oh my goodness, they don't like the training, what's going on? So I went over and said, hey, I overheard you, and what is it about the training you don't like? And he goes, oh, it's nothing about the training. I really like the training, but when I get back, they're going to want me to do these investigations. And I said, well, what's wrong about that? He goes, well, I'm an engineer. I get evaluated on getting projects done on time. And he said, all they're going to do now is give me investigations to go do, and they're not going to take any workload off my plate for doing these projects. So all this means is I'm going to have to do these investigations in my spare time. And, well, you know, weekends and nights, I don't want to spend doing investigations, but now I'm going to have to because I've been to this training, and that's what's bad about it. And so that was, once again, back to the implementation book. How are you going to resource doing these investigations? And it's always what do I want to call this? A dream of management that they can just put more work on people and it'll get done somehow.
And
It's for
the
free.
stress
For
load
free.
will not be a problem for them. Everything else will be done perfectly the way they were doing it before. And for an engineer, that is very difficult. They're very specific.
And I don't
in
care
what
whether
they
you've been to
do.
the 5-day or the 2-day. I don't care if you're doing a major investigation or a simple investigation. There's resources. There's time you have to spend. Now, you may be able to do this simple one, and the hard part is always collecting the facts.
Yes.
But maybe you can get it done in a day.
But boy, what you learn.
In a day, maybe you can get it
Yeah.
done. And the taproot part may take a couple hours. But the collecting information is going to take you some time. And that's one day of work you didn't get done while you were doing this.
Right.
And if they give you, several of these a month, that turns out to be several days a month that you don't get your work done.
Well, and collecting that information is, you've got to do that timely.
Oh yeah.
You can't just
You
wait.
gotta-
I can't
you
say
gotta
I'll get to
stop
it next
what you're
week.
doing
You
and
have
go
to
do
start
it.
immediately. Yeah, exactly. So
It's a critical piece. If you don't get all that information, you're going to really struggle in the tree.
Or you could just make it up.
here, Mark. Here's your Spinacause.
Yeah,
there you go.
Let's see,
Go
I
do your
got
investigation.
unknown, spin again, and don't tell anyone.
I think that's a good one.
I think they're all good ones on there.
Well, I think this is really helpful. People always wonder when we talk to them, and I know you're talking to a lot of people lately, and it's a key question. What training does my team need to do what we need them to do? And
Those answers are in here
in that
too.
book.
Yeah, and that's a question we definitely welcome. Someone really analyzing and thinking deeply about what types of training different people need. Just don't go sign up for the 2-day. What do you really need? What are
What
the
do you
goals?
want to accomplish when you're done?
Yes.
Yeah, what are the goals of your organization? What are the backgrounds of the people who are taking the class? What are they going to be doing in the future? Those are all things you need to think about too.
Yeah, I was talking to somebody this week and helping him actually transfer from, he had signed up for a 3-day virtual course, and he's like, but I'm going to be doing major investigations.
Oh,
and
yeah.
it was like, and I was like, well, you really, if you can get to the 5-day, but that's in person, and so he's going to Amsterdam. So, but he realized what his goal in his investigations were, what he was going to be working with. He really did need that more robust training with all the special techniques in them, and so we were able to get him shifted over really super easy, and now he's ready to go have vacation / taproot training, which we love.
Yeah. Can we go back to the steps in the process?
Sure.
Okay. I was thinking.
In fact, probably where we post this, we ought to post both the processes in the place where we put this on the blog. We can put both those processes in there.
That makes sense. So in the 2-day, we're going through the different 5 steps. At the day 2, we talk about generic cause.
We do. It's sort of like an optional thing you can do.
Yes. And then, it's not optional when it's the 7-step major process.
No, it's one of the steps.
So what kind of guidance do you give people for the 2-day course about generic cause and when to make that decision to pursue it or not?
I was arguing for not having generic cause in the 2-day course.
Okay.
I thought everything you do to make this more complicated is less likely that somebody's going to do it. But some industries, for instance the nuclear industry, you're almost always required to look for generic causes. So it really depends on what your objectives are for your company as to whether you do it or not.
Okay.
And doing a simple investigation, if it really is a simple investigation, and if this incident hasn't repeated over and over again, then you probably shouldn't be doing an optional generic cause analysis. But some of the instructors and some companies just can't help themselves, and they have to do it no matter what.
Okay.
And so that's why it's in there in the 2-day course. I like to think of Taproot is like the gold standard, the thing you're going to do when you really want answers and really want to make these problems stop. The 2-day course and the essentials techniques in the 5-step process is, oh, by the way, we would have done 5 whys, or we would have just guessed at causes, or we would have done fishbone diagrams, and this is what you're doing instead of that.
Okay.
So 5 whys almost never gets to generic causes, and so I think this is, a better technique to use than those simple techniques that people tend to use for those simpler investigations. And if you want to make it one step harder, then you do the generic cause. But I'm thinking this is for really simple stuff, and I'm not going to do generic cause for that.
Okay.
And let's add on that. It's really simple stuff, but you are giving people the ability to basically be human performance experts.
Well, it's not a simple...
Like if somebody's listening and they don't really know what Taproot is, and they're doing 5 whys, this is going to give you the human performance expertise. It's going to give you consistent...
It's going to give you questions to ask.
It's going to give you all the questions your team can answer yes or no and get to those true answers.
You're going to be able to
for.
identify human
Yes.
performance causes. Now, sometimes when you ask those yes or no questions, it takes judgment on your part to answer them.
Right.
We don't tell you what the right. It's if you got to decide, does this need improvement or not, and so you can still make mistakes.
We give you about as much help as we could possibly
There's
give you.
really-
I really have to say.
There's really good questions in there, but you have to decide, is it a yes or a no? And so there is still some judgment involved
We give hints.
of the investigator.
We give, like in the software, just every time you see a little question mark, hover
Click on
over
that,
that,
and
you're
then
going
up
to
comes
get
the words.
additional tips and
Well, it's the stuff
Yeah.
from, I have all this paper on the table here. It's the stuff from the
Right.
dictionary.
yeah.
The dictionary has all these questions in it, and when you get to a certain point on the tree, there's a page or 2 or 3 here in the dictionary that's full of questions
Yes.
that are, if you're going to circle that, you have to get a yes to one of these questions. And if you get all no's, it probably isn't the right thing to circle.
All right. Well, I
Did we get off the topic
I
again?
think that was right on topic.
Okay.
I think it was excellent. But I just, we've kind of clarified all the things that we need to clarify in this in regards to that question we're always asked. The basic investigations and
Isn't there a simpler way to do this?
Exactly. We do 5 whys for this. We do, we wanted to use Taproot just for major investigations. No, because
There's one more thing I should
it's
mention.
also going to give you practice.
You got it.
It's going to help your proficiency, and it's going to keep your sword is going to be sharp when it comes time to do that major investigation.
If that guy had done a simple investigation once every 2 months for that 2-year period in between,
Your elbow friend?
yeah, the elbow friend, if he would have done simple investigations for 2 years, he wouldn't have been so out of practice
Exactly.
when he got to the guy who'd gotten burned.
And you know what a snap chart is.
He would have drawn
Hopefully.
12 of those or
Yes,
whatever,
exactly.
and had experience doing that, and he would have been better at he wouldn't have asked me, where's the elbow on the tree?
Exactly. That was a great example.
We always say trust the process too. If you have questions, just open up that dictionary. It'll give you the coaching you need in the sections you need it. And then there's the cheat sheet in the very, very back.
Yeah. Well, really. Now, this guy didn't have this book, but nowadays, you can go read that before you go do an investigation. You really can give yourself just-in-time refresher training by reading the small book.
You can call us and have us help facilitate an investigation.
You can call me and say, where's the elbow on the tree?
Where's the elbow on the tree? We do not just leave you once you've had Taproot training. We're here with you.
2.5 years, you can call me
You
later,
could-
and I'm
could
supposed to
call-
remember
exactly.
your name.
And we love to do that. We love to help our clients with their investigations when they need us.
Yeah.
Our goal is to make you self-sufficient
Right.
in your investigations, but if you need someone, we can definitely help you with that. If you have more questions about the basic and the major and what your team needs, That's what we're here for. You just call us 865-539-2139. I've remembered it again, Mark. Or contact us at info@taproot.com. Go to our website, sign up for our newsletter on our website. We're here for you. We want to help you. We want to make this something that you can depend on to save lives, to have higher quality products, to just make your program so much better. Visit us at our summit once a year. We want to be your friend. We always used to say, people become our family.
And there's another thing. If the guy would have gone to the summit, he would have refreshed some of his Taproot knowledge, and he'd probably know what a snapshot is.
And he would have had a good time, too.
Yep.
He would have had a great time. Well, thank you all so much. That was a really fun conversation about it. I couldn't imagine a basic and major investigation conversation being as fun as that. It was fantastic.
We're just fun people.
And I'll always remember the elbow and the pull and run.
Everybody knows you're supposed to run. Well, why didn't he run? Well, I'd sure like to know that.
Exactly.
We just solicited feedback for new root causes. Now I can
put elbow on the tree.
There you go.
Put
elbow
on the tree.
Run it through the advisory board and we'll see what they say. All right. Thank you all for joining us. Please subscribe on whatever platform you're watching or listening to, and we will be back with you next week with another episode. Thanks. Bye.